Hello and welcome back to The Rounds with SEMD, where we dig into what's shaping the future of digital marketing. I'm joined most of the time by Mike Donovan and Cody Jerry from Search Engines MD. Hello, guys. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Of course. This is the place where we want to learn a lot from you guys. Your team serves auto, home service businesses, a whole bunch of actually everything adjacent to automotive. And those two really big verticals are where you guys spend all of your energy, which is fantastic because then you become specialists in some areas where you end up accruing years of knowledge. For the audience that tunes in and listens and or watches the content, you need to know a couple things. SEMD has a proven track record, about 15 years running, almost 15 years if you're not there already. And so when we have these conversations, they're meant to explore all of these things that come from their experience working with clients and customers, and they share a lot of information that comes right out of the trench of having a problem that needed a solution. So I'm, of course, once again, excited to talk to you guys because today we're going to talk a little bit kind of SEO, how hybrid is kind of outperforming some of this pure AI, the old school approaches. This is a big topic for people who have been playing around with search engines from day one and feel like they kind of know the history and progression of it. And so I hope you guys are ready because I want to get into it. Okay. First place I want to start is again, where as like, I guess, from a perspective on industries, which I just mentioned, as a company, which of them do you serve, maybe even specifically that go outside of automotive and the things that might be into home services, specifically where you guys work? Because I think some people right off the top are going to say, well, do you service my type of home service, or do you service my adjacent part of automotive, like I sell motorcycles or whatever? Can you dig in on that a little bit?
Yeah, so on the automotive side, we actually help all the different markets that are adjacent. So we are in power sports, we have um, body shops, we have detail shops, um, we have pretty much everything under the sun that you can imagine in the auto industry. In the service industry, we've been finding success in all of them. Believe it or not, we're even in insect control, animal removers, different kinds of companies like that. And it's amazing to see what the volume actually is in those types of businesses. They really they're really big businesses. And
Mm.
so we do anything from pressure washing, roofing companies, gutter companies, window companies, all that kind of stuff. So pretty much anything in the service industry. We haven't came across anything that we've had a hard time being able to find results for over there.
Okay, that's awesome. And I think that's really good to know because both of those primary categories are really big with kind of little niches within inside of them. And I think that that's an important thing. So that's the first thing before I wanted to just kind of rip the Band-Aid off, which is I hear this, I see this on a daily basis, and I've seen it for years. People say that SEO is dead. Is SEO dead?
Yeah, no. And what's definitely not dead is people saying SEO is dead. And I don't know. I think um, SEO is I don't know. I don't know if it can outlast people saying SEO is dead, but no, I'm just kidding. It's, but I mean, that's been going on since you were in SEO, so it's
True.
obviously not. Technical SEO is always going to be important, and you have to stay on top of it, especially right now when there's less than 5% of the searches on the internet are coming from AI. Don't get me wrong, you have to be prepared for it and be ready for the shift. But the fact of the matter is that technical SEO is always going to be important.
Mm. What say you, Cody? Is SEO dead? You want to fight Mike on this, or do you
Uh,
agree?
SEO is definitely not dead. There's always been tons of different types of SEO going way, way back. I mean, even a handful of years ago, we got introduced to a Google business profile that never existed before, and then we had local SEO, which is still under the SEO blanket. There's Amazon product SEO if you're trying to rank on Amazon. all kinds of different e-commerce stuff. So AEO, GEO, AI-SEO, I think they're all just under the same exact blanket. All the technical stuff is kind of what you're trying to do right now with the AI SEO is, the foundations of everything, the schema, the microdata, the page layout stuff, all the things that have mattered before is exactly how all those things were built. I mean, they were built to crawl the internet, and the same things that you adopted for SEO is the same thing that's going to be for them currently while they try to learn more and more.
I can't stay away from this opportunity for a tiny bit of humor, and that, of course, would be my old McDonald joke, the AI or EI SEO.
Yeah.
There are like we have so many acronyms. I'm sure that other business verticals have a lot more than they want as well, but I still get a lot of mileage out of making fun of how many there are in automotive. And it's even funnier. I don't know. You guys have to protect your likability maybe a little more than I do, but all of the people who spout out all of the acronyms who know really nothing about them, it's kind of comical and maddening at the same time. But let me switch you guys into your thoughts on, how should businesses be kind of thinking about that being found or findability in now today's like multi-platform world?
Well, nowadays it's pretty consistent with how it's always been. So it's the same thing, just like at the beginning when you had to come up with ways on being found on YouTube and different things like that. You always have to concentrate on anything else that pops up where where your business has to be listed. So the big thing that everybody's talking about, and the scare tactics out there about GEO and all those other different acronyms. But the fact of the matter is that it's just part of what SEO has been the whole time. So anytime something new pops up, you figure it, you learn about it, you figure out what's going on it, and you make sure that you're relevant on that in that area. So it's how it's always been in the industry. And like I said before, technical SEO is more important than ever. You have to have that strong foundation, and then as long as you're concentrating on that, it makes it really easy to adapt to everywhere else that you're supposed to be ranking.
Yeah, that's good insight there. Anything to add on that, Cody?
I think search intent's kind of the big pivot, and it's not even a pivot. I mean, we've been talking about search intent for a decade now, but I think there's a physical experience now in search, which is a little bit different. Previously, you wrote content to fill the searcher intent, but now, like if it's a research-oriented term, we're probably going to see a Gemini response inside of Google search itself. AI search is well placed, and basically everybody's using it. Transactional terms, now we have all kinds of different like vehicle ads in the auto industry up at the top. In home services, we have local service ads and some other stuff like that. So it's definitely a physical experience. If you're doing, trying to generate a AI-generated search term or an AI-generated search, you're going to be looking for like a why this or how that or when best, something where you're trying to research and find a group of or a subset of data. Whereas transactional, like if you're looking for a car for sale, you need to have content that is about that car for sale and actually have a listing of those vehicles so you can rank better. So I think the physical experience now in search is just so different. And it's going to continue to get more different. AI search, like we saw a website where they were generating like 1,000 sessions a day off of blog posts. And thankfully, we didn't rank these blog posts as a different company, but they went from 1,000 sessions a day to 5. All of it switched to AI results, so they couldn't get any of that traffic anymore. Google was using their information to populate those results, but those people did not go to the website anymore. And I think that's one thing that's just a huge shift is, if you're trying to serve that searcher intent, how do you measure that now? Because it's completely different.
That's very interesting. Yeah, those are some really good points that you guys make. I wasn't actually gonna ask you guys about this, but I love these conversations, and so this is I probably just from my own knowledge, but I think the audience would be interested. I used to, and we the three of us have known each other for many years. I used to tell, especially car dealers, power sports dealers, everybody adjacent in automotive, when I wanted them to have just kind of a basic understanding of how search engine optimization is fed. I would tell people you need to be doing a lot of activity that is centered around who you are, Donovan Toyota, what you sell, new vehicles, new Toyota vehicles, Tundras, Tacomas, Forerunners. We also service them, and where you sell it. So who you are, what you sell or what you do, and where you do it. That those were three really key important elements of being found. And would you say that those three things are still just as important today? Are they less important? Or is it like, no, they're still important, but within now all of the new ways to still keep them paramount?
Shoot, might be more important. So one of the things that you mentioned was, what we're about, or, about the actual business. And what
Mm-hmm.
we're finding is with even in ChatGPT or, Gemini search, if you're looking for the best this, best that, they take into consideration what you say about yourself
Mm-hmm.
when they're trying to see who's going to populate that search. So if your About Us page or your blog post is really barren, and you're not bragging about what you've done, and ideally, I think it should be on the About Us page right now. I think that's where these tools are getting most of their information.
Mm-hmm.
But you actually have to actively brag about your philanthropic activities. I know forever, I mean, we're just as bad at this, if not worse. Like, nobody knows what we do or what Mike does to help the community, help people be a good human being on the planet. And now, if you want to show up in those search results, you actually have to actively put that information on your website.
Uh,
You can skip it if nobody else is, but realistically, you can have a advantage if you're bragging about the awards, your donations, your activities, what you're doing to be good. Google, Gemini, ChatGPT, all these things consider that information when they're trying to pick out who's the best. And then reviews, of course.
yeah, that's very interesting. I think that is something that then everybody should really take to heart, especially when it could challenge their humility. There are a lot of people like I know Mike. Mike doesn't run around the industry to friends, family, anybody trying to say, "Hey, look at how, generous I am. Look at what an advocate of just doing right things for the right reasons." Kind of a motto that isn't a cliche to Mike. It literally injects, I think, the energy into your whole company, but also it has a halo effect to anybody, your clients, and all the other people that associate and are related to you guys. So it also, though, challenges the nature of Mike not to go be braggadocious about those things. And so I think what you're saying is there probably are some moments to find a way to, humble brag, maybe to be
Yep.
like, and separate the bullshit from this is actually real. This is who we really are. So that when somebody then gets to experience that way digitally or in person, however they interact with the business, that what they found online led them to a place of truth as opposed to a place of, hey, we kind of catfished you, to an experience that is not right. So,
And I'm still dealing with it internally because now, when something you say about yourself is working the same ways as a backlink did back in the day, there's a lot of value in it. And
mm,
I understand that, but then it starts taking away from the reason why I actually do things to help certain people out or help out businesses or whatever it is that we're working on. And so it's still hard for me, even though it would help us make more money and it'll make us more findable. It's still hard for me to make that decision to start doing that, even though it's super valuable and I believe in it and I'll teach other businesses to do it. But it's hard for me to do it when that's not the reason why I'm doing the things that I'm doing.
yeah, I think it's maybe a bit of an indictment on how um, we've tolerated fake facades, like people just to build themselves up when they're not really an expert, when they're not really great at something. But, the Pied Piper, plays a great song, and all of a sudden, all the people who are unknowing to the reality, all of a sudden they're marching the wrong direction. Interesting. I think that was something that was on my mind as we were talking through this. Let me get back to something that I absolutely did want to ask you guys about, and that is this debate. We already just mentioned it a couple minutes ago. This renaming of SEO. Not only are people out there shouting like SEO is dead, they're all like, we're renaming SEO to EIEIO, Old McDonald SEO, AEO, LLMO. Like it's like what FAFO. Like we're gonna get all these crazy. Like, what's going on? Do we really need to rename it? What are your
So
thoughts on that?
I don't believe we should, but at the same time, you almost have to meet the clients where they stand on that.
Mm.
I still will let them know, like from our point of view, SEO is SEO. And part of SEO includes GEO and those different things that you have to account for. And so it's still part of your plan, but it's still part of SEO. So SEO is still the acronym that we use and that we believe in. But if somebody, I had a client the other day who said, well, now we call it GEO. And then I said, well, I respect your opinion, and I know that you usually have data to back up the things that you say. So I'm just curious where you got that idea. And then he gave me some more insight on it and that sort of thing. And so now I still meet him where he stands on it. But from our point of view, SEOs, GEO and all those different EOs that they have out there are all part of SEO. They're all under that umbrella. They're all certain important things and things that we look out for and that we take care of. But it all falls under SEO at this point.
Yeah, that's how I totally agree. I feel that way. The same. But I know Cody's probably got this alternative opinion. He's going to fight us on that.
Oh, I'd rather us just be debating the individual strategies. Like I'm scrolling on LinkedIn a lot more than I used to, just because it's interesting all the different social media and discussions happening these days. But it's all about the debate on what strategy or what acronym should be there, and not like the individual things that you should be doing to achieve those results. I'd rather be discussing that stuff. Like, I think it was Google CEO came up with like LLMS text files or something like that. Nobody's discussing testing that, or at least not in my groups. I'm not following the nerdiest of the nerdy people, and I really need to be, but all those different file formats and text formats, schema formats, I think that's where the real discussion should be happening. And let's just call it SEO.
Yeah,
Well,
I agree with that.
Well, and one of the other things I've been noticing is that I pay a lot of attention to all the SEOs on LinkedIn and that kind of thing, because there's a lot of people that are doing a lot of research, and we do a lot of research, but I like to piggyback on the research of others and see what everybody's talking about and take the common denominator and kind of bank on that for something that's working or something that's worth testing. But one of the things that I've noticed are the people that are actually doing the SEO and have their hands dirty have way different answers than the people that are just speaking on it and doing the research all the time. So, or having other people doing the research and relaying the data. So, something like the people that are saying that you don't need to have be creating pages for your services and that sort of thing because AI engines can understand it without you having to do all that. And that usually is someone that's saying that is typically not someone that's actually doing it right now and is responsible for results and helping a company make more money.
That kind of, I don't know if it's a perfect segue, but you just made me think about how when we get into these, in this case, a naming debate, I don't know how, much friction there is in the debate, but it certainly is. There are people that have strong opinions on it. I think most of the people that want to completely wholesale change the name, most of them have nefarious
tactics.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, right? How can we confuse people? And so that's the thing I kind of wanted to tag onto this. Don't you guys think, like, when there's a debate around things like this, that there's a huge risk of confusing clients and the people that make decisions and the people that really kind of need to understand what they're investing in?
Yeah, it definitely undermines the confidence of the consumer or the clients or the potential clients. And it really dilutes the core concepts that everybody should really be paying attention to. Like I was talking about as far as the technical SEO and things of that nature. So it just makes it to where the process ends up being longer. The everything that you should be concentrating on starts getting diluted because they keep trying to look at something else when they should be paying attention to the big picture. And then there's other things you add to it, but it just makes it to where I think the word for it is cognitive dissonance.
Mm,
I think
hmm
is that I think that's it. I think that's what it is. It just causes too much confusion. I think it just starts spreading the focus around instead of concentrating on what you should be concentrating in. And that's really just 100% customer service and making sure you are listed in the right places at the right times.
hmm Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. What do you got for us, Cody?
This is just bringing me back to the early 2000s with Google Ads, SEM, PPC. Like, we just recently had somebody, I shouldn't be, calling anything out like this, but we had Google Ads on our exhibit, and I think they asked if it was PPC, and it's just like, oh, that's so interesting. 20 years later, it's still an issue with communication on this, and this is exactly what we're running into with SEO by trying to name it all these different things. People are going to be like, well, do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do this? It's like, no, it's all, for us, it's all under one blanket. SEO is all these things because it's all related to how you lay out and optimize a page. But yeah, we still have a discussion today about what it is the correct term for Google Ads, or now Microsoft Advertising, because we've been calling it Bing Ads for ages, and now it's Microsoft Advertising.
Mm. I know you guys won't say this, so I'll say this. This is not Mike and Cody saying this. This is Sean saying this. There are way too many businesses and companies who are absolutely the polar opposite of you guys, who take these opportunities to confuse the market, to use them as manipulation and coercion tactics. Like, they desire this because they know that they can make it an advantage to themselves.
Yeah.
Ultimately to the detriment of the client, who just needs somebody to be honest with them, and who needs to say, well, we did all this research so we would understand, like, all the things that you guys have been talking about. Like, Cody, you saying, like, rather than like going back and forth of like which acronym it should be or whatever, like all of this social media banter, which is nonsense and a waste of time. What isn't a waste of time is our tactics and strategies and different models of execution being adhered to, what needs to be changed. And, you guys, Mike, you gave examples of it too. SEO started as one thing that was really easy to actually manipulate. If you just knew how to go in and drop in a bunch of metadata, right? Everyone always kind of laughs about it because it's funny now that we know what we know. But in the early days of the internet, if you were lucky and blessed enough to have been in it when the dam broke, the three of us know that the dominating industries were all adult entertainment sites, because that particular industry knew exactly how to go into the back end and write in cookie recipes or what, like anything you could type into the internet, and they dominated. This is pre-Google for all you children or youngsters out there that haven't heard this. Anyway, I digress. SEO has been evolving since the beginning, and here we are again. And I love that you guys are saying there's an umbrella, there's a tent that this stuff lives under, and it's big. There's a lot of different things, but it accommodates the trajectory of technology growth and when things change and when new things come into it. And I think that's one of the reasons why people that get to know you and then select you guys to be a partner in their business endeavors appreciate that, because it's so different than what you hear from other people. So with that said, I want to know your thoughts on like most valuable use cases that you guys think about for AI in digital marketing today. And it doesn't, I mean, just in general, like there's a lot of businesses who are like, well, where are the best places where I might use AI in my digital marketing? How would you guys approach that with a
Well,
prospect?
the first thing that I would say, as far as integrating AI into your digital marketing, is being able to use it as a tool, but not using it as the tool. So you can use it for doing some of the heavy lifting and being able to save some time on some editing and creating different strategies and creativity and that type of thing. But you don't want it to do everything. You want to be able to keep the true vision of what you're trying to accomplish and keep your brand awareness in mind and be able to make sure that you're doing everything you can to make sure that people understand your vision as a company and make sure that vision is something that resonates with your market.
That's really good advice. Succinct. I like that. But I'm curious to know if you have anything that you are thinking. You look like you have something on your mind, Cody, and we need to know what that might be.
Oh my gosh. AI for everything. An example that just popped up this week, which won't be this week when this video comes out, obviously, but a company was asking for our opinion on their current Google Ads strategy. So we don't have access to their Google Ads account, but it is connected inside of GA4. So we went through the process of showing them the different reports that you can get inside of GA4 for your Google Ads, and the process of exporting that to a Google Sheet and uploading that Google Sheet or the CSV file to ChatGPT to ask questions about it. Like, which of these search terms are good search terms for us? Should I be stopping or negative keywording any of these search terms because they're not valuable to me? And things like that, where you can take a file of your current results, your current marketing strategies, and get opinions on where you should spend more, spend less, completely cancel. And we took one that was, a gigantic budget for what I would consider for Google Ads, well over $20,000, and analyzing it through ChatGPT and found 20 grand extra of keywords that didn't need to be bid on because, number one, they hadn't generated any conversions in 6 months, and two, they were already ranking really well on SEO. So not only were they paying for keywords that weren't converting on the paid side, they were already covering it on the organic side, so they could have went without spending any of that money. On top of that, if you're having an issue with an employee or looking for a different way to train an employee, you can put the different circumstances. Don't put anything personally identifiable. Don't put their name in there. But explain what you've tried, what you haven't tried, and it's going to give you recommendations for how you can change your training to help that person do better or learn faster. For people who are writing descriptions on vehicles, you can put in your VIN of that vehicle and ask ChatGPT to write a description for you, and you can even tell it, we're in a cold climate, I want to emphasize if there's heated seats and things like that. And you can speed up your process for writing really good descriptions about your vehicles. And for anybody who's having to do marketing or SEO on their own, like at the dealership, a lot of these websites are built on something called Bootstrap. Like if you're on a Dealer Inspire, Dealeron, both of those are going to be Bootstrap based. You can say, I have a web page, it's in Bootstrap version 3. I want it to look at this page and just post a screenshot of a page that you really like. Give me the code to make that happen. And you can now build templates so much faster, so much easier. I used to hand code these things and it sucked. But now I can just go to ChatGPT, tell it exactly what I want it to do, the layout, and what used to take me an hour takes a minute, and we can just generate so much more good content. And that's something internally, if you're at a dealership, 100% you need a paid version of one of these AI tools. There's a bunch out there, and you can do so much to your website, all the way down to what can I do to speed up this page. Everything you're doing, you can find a way to use AI to help you. Like Mike was saying, don't have it do all of it, but definitely have it help you.
I love that. And you guys kind of dipped into the next thing that I was going to ask about, just kind of examples of how you guys are using it, maybe within SEMD's environment and with clients. I love the example. This came up in a different conversation I was having a couple of days ago, earlier this week, actually, on the vehicle description piece. I was answering some questions for a dealer who was talking about image, what could we do with images and how would we use cases for image generation AI? And I'm like, well, there's a lot. I said, but if it were me, I would be looking at doing some things that are more interesting for your vehicle descriptions, because every dealer's looks kind of, so it's interesting that you brought that up. That's an actual use case. So that's actually a really good one, because you can actually use AI to write some very entertaining, engaging descriptions on vehicles. I love that. Mike, anything that you're doing there at SEMD that you guys are using AI a little bit, that you're just not letting it take over, but things that you have found where it's helpful?
For running a business, one of the really valuable things you can do is create an agent. So it doesn't matter. So just for instance, if you're using Chat GPT, it's called a GPT. So you create one of those, and it just give it the framework of everything you want to accomplish. So let's say you want to do a weekly meeting with all of your managers. You'll put in all the information about what's important for you, what your goals are, what your priority is out of these meetings. And then when in every time before your meeting, you could just go in there and add, well, I need a meeting for today. These are the things that I need to add in addition to our current priorities and goals. Please create the agenda, and that'll create it and be able to give you working items to be able to help move your company forward. So it really takes a lot of the elbow or like the tedious work out of it.
I like that. That's
That's
organized
one
and
good example.
efficiency. Yeah, that's a really good
Creating
example.
agents, you can get a lot of movement.
I like that. Anything you want to add on this one, Cody?
The thing I've been using it for this week, which is I think really really amusing, is for writing quizzes on Google Forms. So there's something called Google Apps scripts, which I think you need a paid account to do on Google. But basically, you can have ChatGPT write a whole quiz on whatever topic. Like you could make it about a specific vehicle, upload a PDF file for how everything you're supposed to know about that vehicle, or what the new order form looks like on a Ford Maverick, because I think that just got released, and have it create a whole bunch of quizzes so you can quiz your salespeople on which colors are available. What's the new color for 2026? I think it's like eruption orange or something on a Ford Maverick. But you can put all that different things about that vehicle, and you can build little quizzes for all your sales staff to be able to work and train and make sure that they know everything they should about that vehicle. Same thing, like if you had a PDF of all these old objections that you're supposed to know, you could upload that and you could have quizzes so people can choose the correct objection for which scenario there is. And you just have ChatGPT write a Google Apps script that you can use to build these forms inside of Google. And like that's been my favorite thing all week, because we're trying to rebuild our own training, and that's what I'm using to do it. I'm uploading the ASC standards into it and saying I want quizzes going over these things, what triggers what goes first, what goes when, so everybody's an expert on ASC standards.
Mm.
Another idea, you can build a Google Chrome extension, and you can have let's say you're on a specific page on your website, and this is your own personal Chrome extension. You're looking at a car on your website, you have a Google Chrome extension that will just go and automatically check your competitors' websites for that same exact year, make, model, trim to see what their pricing there is at. So you don't have to go around hunting for all the prices. You can click one button, check to make sure that your vehicle's priced appropriately for your market. Same thing, you just go to ChatGPT, say I want a Chrome extension. Here's an example of my competitors' websites. I want to be able to click a button and check prices against everybody in my market.
I love that.
More and more and more. I mean, you can check your GA4 traffic to see what you need to know about that, rather than relying on a vendor to tell you what you should know. You can upload that CSV file again from GA4 and ask it questions. What's good? What's bad? What changed? Just so much opportunity for what you can use it for in a business.
Yeah, it's so much good stuff. Like I love that. I would tell you guys that I had an interesting conversation with a dealer just last week about the things you're talking about, where they had a bunch of information that came out of their GA4 account, and it was an AI kind of thing. And I was like, if that were my data, I would go and I would take what only the dealers actually know the specific numbers of, which would be how many vehicles in your market area. Because I live in DFW. So I just said, and this dealer happens to be in Fort Worth. I said, do you know how many vehicles were sold by your brand at DFW in July? And he's like, yes. I'm like, okay. Would you like to know more about market share implications with all this data that you're showing me? Because it's all great to see all those, points within what you would expect to see, engagement rates and conversions and all that kind of stuff. But I said, wouldn't it be even more interesting if you could take what only you have as a dealer to get better conversion to sales alignment, like your channel role and your market penetration, all these things? And he was like, I never really got too excited about like AI could do something beyond what he was hearing, but he was like, I never even thought of that. And I said, well, you have, like, for you guys, this is the place where, this is why I am such a fan of you guys, because you dole out all these AI concepts that you're using now, that you're, like, we're going to prove all of these things so that we're bringing value and we're cutting through the confusion and we don't understand this. And you guys will be the ones that are perpetuating all of these more advanced ways of saying this is how it's done. And it doesn't get to run the whole show. And I appreciate that, because even in what I do, we use some AI, but it doesn't get to run the whole show. Otherwise, it gives you hallucinations still. It gives you, it doesn't know what we still know. And I think the merge of these two things, an amazing technology, but with human intelligence and capability and thoughtfulness around knowing our customers so well and knowing our space so well, this is where I think you guys shine. And I absolutely love that. So yeah, that's good stuff. Okay. With all this gobbledygook talk about AI, there are limitations, right? And it's not saving the world. What do you got when you guys think about AI and things that you're experiencing or whatever? What are the things, especially as you want to communicate to your customers or prospective customers? What do you want them to know about your thoughts around where AI has limitations?
In my opinion, where AI has limitations is in relationship building. You can create thoughtful responses and have creative, awesome things to say to them utilizing AI generated content. But in the world of really building a strong relationship with efficient communication, that's where it's going to be lacking. You can't get the same effect and build the same type of repertoire as you can having conversations with people, being present in conversations, and working together to be able to conquer common goals together.
I absolutely love that answer. I couldn't love that answer more. It is so right on the money. Like that's a miss for a lot of people. They don't probably think of that. But hey, Cody, I'll give you a swing at this one too. We'll see if you can actually put the bat on the ball. What are you seeing? What are you thinking? Like limitations that I know you've got a thought or two.
I would say prompt quality. A good example is I've seen SEO content pop up pretty frequently from people who historically haven't done SEO, where they just said, "Hey, ChatGPT, make this page have better SEO." They don't mention a keyword. They don't mention anything around what that topic's supposed to be. And ChatGPT does its best. It writes you SEO copy for whatever keyword it decides, and most of the time it never includes any actual keywords because it was never given any to work with. So we've had a couple of situations where, like, I go to check on analytics and Google organic traffic drop. I'm like, what the heck? Go back, and it's because somebody recommended that they have ChatGPT tell them to write better SEO content than what they had, and it was not the case. Going back to the quiz thing, I thought I had a good prompt where I wanted it to generate the script for the Google form, which would be the quiz. But every single time, the first time it produces the same exact error. Even though I told it multiple times, like, hey, no, this is the correct format. It doesn't matter. It always produces it wrong the first time. And it'll say, no, this is the correct formatting. And it's like, oh, my bad. And it'll rewrite it into the correct format. So even though my prompt is good, like, you still have to have that human element of, like, there's certain things that you'll remember that, when you have a new prompt, it's just going to forget. It's not going to use any of that other information. So it may keep on producing the same exact error, and you have to give it that feedback and say, this is right, this is wrong. And eventually it will continue to do it better for you.
I love both of those answers. I love them both. So you're both beautiful humans, but I have to say that relationship piece, Mike, is so freaking critical. Like, you just can't replace that with a robot or with AI or with, digital technology or whatever. Like, we talk so much about I talk about all the time, you need to be, your personal brand is worthless if you're not known, liked, and trusted. Your company brand is worthless if you're not known. It's not totally worthless, but let's just say it becomes much more valuable when people know who you are, they like you, they trust you. How do you do that? That's not easy to do. None of those are easy to do, but they're so critically important that in your answer, that's essentially what you're illustrating, is that it takes real work from a real human to build a relationship where people now trust you and they like you and they know who you are because of all of these great things that we talked about even at the top of the episode of, we don't want to humble brag. We probably have to now from a, technical search findability perspective, but then when people get even just close to who you are, they have that relationship inception, and then they're like, this is legit, this is real, and that feels totally different. And the outcomes of that, I think, are what build the bridges for businesses to happen and for people to remain loyal and to be trusting because they built that relationship. And that's
And that's
really
been our vision during the whole time we've had this company, is that even if you see us at a conference, we're not there doing hard sales. Our first thing that we like to do is build the relationships, be present in the conversations, learn what people are doing, what's working, what's not working, but not be trying to force ourselves into a situation just to try and get some money. What we'd like to do is learn about the people, understand that we can communicate efficiently. From there, those relationships build so strong that that's one of the things that's given me security when thinking about AI and how AI is taking over and how marketing companies are worried that they're going to lose their business. Well, AI is not going to be able to replace those relationships or replace what we can accomplish together when we're communicating efficiently.
I love that. I mean, the relationships that you guys built and that you have and that you continue to build are going to be the reason why some people come and ask you questions about, hey, I need to know about what's going on with this AI stuff and SEO and the limitations of. They're going to trust you because you built rapport like that. And I love that you mentioned that, because I think it's important for people that listen to and consume your content to know that when you're at shows, when you pop up a booth, which isn't free for you to do, that's a big expense for companies. Oftentimes it's 50 or 60% or more of a company's total all-in marketing budget for the year to
Yeah.
go to those events. But your focus being one of, oh my goodness, we're not going there to try to just put more money in our pockets and get a bunch of leads from people. We want to meet people. Is there a good alignment? Is there a good fit? Well, can we start these relationships? Some of them end up being a good connection where you get to help each other and you work together. And some of them are just like, we'll just be friendly. Let's like, it's cool because it's not a perfect fit. But when you go there first and foremost to continue building your brand, it's like so smart. I want to, one, great conversation with you guys today. I want to ask a little bit on some of the specifics around maybe SEO limitations within AI. I don't know that there are a lot, so this is just me kind of like exploratory with you guys to get if you've got some thoughts on this, but there are probably some examples that are starting to pop up now with SEO, and you don't have to name any providers if you know some of the really jackwagon providers. We don't need to know their names. You can tell me later after the episodes, after we're done. But what are you guys seeing out there? Are there some examples of AI limitation or kind of not so great stuff happening?
Well, what I see on my side is that one of the things that can even beat out the best marketing is having 100% customer service. So that comes down to reputation. So the reputation that you build with actual human beings, human being to human being, is something you can't replicate with AI. And so being able to have great conversations with people, giving them everything they need, and making them walk away with a good feeling in their heart or in their stomach, wherever they're hold that, and
Mm-hmm.
and then, but then they you don't even have to ask them to give reviews, and you don't have to ask them to give talk highly about your reputation. Your reputation precedes you. So then when you add in the marketing side of it, if you have a good reputation, it's going to make your reputation better and it's going to make your marketing better. If you have a bad reputation, it doesn't matter what marketing you do. You get that message in front of a bunch of people that don't like your name and it makes everything worse. And so you're wasting your money and it makes it to where less people actually end up wanting to purchase or do any business with you.
Yeah, that's a great point. Really good point. Cody, what are your thoughts here? Weigh in.
Limitation on SEO for AI, I would say it doesn't know your keyword. It hasn't done that research. It doesn't really know what's going on. Like, it does its best to try to help you, but a good example is a couple weeks ago now, actually. We went and looked at a website and somebody had rewritten all the content with AI. Rather than saying used cars, which is usually the primary keyword, everything was replaced with pre-owned vehicles. So we didn't look because we're not doing the SEO for the company. And they said, we lost a lot of business in the last couple of weeks. What's going on? We go and look and we see a really huge downward trend on SEO or the organic traffic. We're like, oh, somebody messed up your SEO. It looks like they used AI to rewrite everything. So in this case, I manually rewrote all the content because when it comes to used car content, I've written several thousand pages about used cars. So that one's just like a easy peasy. Went and rewrote it. Next day, they're number one and they're generating lots of business again. They're like, hey, everything's great. It's like, yeah, I don't know who you were using, but I wouldn't recommend continuing because it was a very, very negative effect. And, if you're having somebody who doesn't know SEO, who's just trying to use AI to speed through the process, it's going to be limiting because it's not going to be actual SEO. It's going to just be more content.
That's such a great point. And what
And
a great
that SEO company actually used to be really well known for SEO when they had two really good frontmen that were speaking on it all the time.
Wow. There have been a few of those people out there. And sometimes that's like an SEO company within a company that sells other stuff too. Am I over the target? Yeah.
Well,
Those are some of my favorite ones, especially in the automotive industry where they came to market with one particular thing and they were decent at that, pretty good at that, but then they realized, oh, we probably should add on all these other things because it just becomes low-hanging fruit. So they have now already a big batch of people that they can go sell their terrible quality service of. I totally get it. And wouldn't it be so fun if we could just name names right now? I'm feeling feisty, so I'm not gonna do it. This is your show. I get to host it with you guys, so I'm not gonna. But gosh, we can. You know what? We'll laugh about this when we see each other in person next time because it's hilarious. Hilarious. Okay, let me switch back. I love to digress with you guys. I want to know where you've seen a 100% AI driven SEO. Well, you know what? That example was actually a really good one. This is the answer to that question of where it kind of tanked rankings of that pre-owned. And so I'll just say, unless you've got another one as well, I'll let you share another one if you got one. But where that happens, because that pre-owned versus used, that's an age-old thing that the three of us have known for years that has now crept its way back into 2025, apparently, and somebody needs to be fired. Maybe they're a nice human. It's that, hey, you're a nice person, and if it's not them personally, then it's whoever devised this strategy, you're not right for our company anymore. But are you seeing more of this? I'd love to know if you got more.
Well, so this is something that's super common right now is that marketing managers are hiring SEO companies that are doing 100% AI driven content, and they have really fancy shared drives and give you examples of every single thing they post. They're posting 15, 20, 30, 50 pieces of content per month, charging $3,000 to $5,000 a month. And it's not being driven by data. They're just pumping out content just to say that they put content on the site. And that's what they're reporting on. They're not actually looking to see if their impact is actually increasing based off of doing what's right according to Google and all the other search engines out there. So what all they're doing is giving them things that don't necessarily have any weight. So it's just like a lot of free garbage. And so these SEO companies that are just have these tools that just pump out content and then automatically uploads it to a Google Drive. So the marketing manager is able to go to their higher ups and being like, okay, this is what they did this month and everyone's happy. But they're not paying attention to what actual money is being brought in from it and what kind of evolution is coming from you being hired as their SEO company. That stuff stops mattering, and which is tough on us because then once we jump into that account, then they're hiring us because we're different, but then they try to get us to be like that other company with all that content, and we say, well, the reason why you hired us is because we're different, because we're not doing things just to give you something to show. We're doing these things because it's going to help you make more money, and it's a asset for your business for the duration of your company. It's not just something that we put into place today and it's good for a month. These things, when you do them right, they're good for the duration of your whole company. It's not just something you're paying for monthly. It's something that you get as an asset forever.
Yeah.
So it needs to be taken a lot more seriously, in my opinion.
It's foundational, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's really important. Yeah, that's really good insight, good advice. Cody, what do you think here? Besides the previous.
It's like an old school concept, I think. But just like Mike was saying, the churn of content, but going specifically, something called keyword cannibalization, which I think the first time I ever read that was on Moz. We've seen a few situations where people keep on creating more and more content about the same exact keyword. And Google only has a certain bandwidth. If you have 18 pages or even like 5 pages on the same topic, it may just choose not to even bother with your website, because if you aren't specific and you can't complete your one topic one time, then it's not going to rank the content. So we have a situation where sales went up 100% in the last couple months, and it's because we deleted 100 blog posts. So we went in, we saw that it drove lots and lots and lots of sessions, but never generated any conversions, and there was nothing that would suggest that these people were going to lead to an actual transaction. It was just all over the world, people getting to the website on these search terms. So we just got rid of them. We didn't bother with having that content on the website anymore and focused on what we thought we should focus on, those transactional keywords. Focused Google's bandwidth only on the things that mattered, and sales and leads went up. And we've done this even pre-COVID, where people said you need to blog all the time. Or yeah, it was actually pre-COVID, but pre-AI. Where people said you need to write blog posts all the time, but you'd write blog posts about the same exact topic, and it would just cause a website not to rank. So we had a different one where we deleted 300 blog posts off a website, and they went to number 1 because we deleted everything. Because every single blog post is the same exact keyword for years.
Yeah. People don't know that level of, they don't have that level of knowledge. Oftentimes, for these other people that you guys compete with, there's so much garbage and nonsense that's out there, just layers and layers and layers of it, that it's already difficult. It's not easy to understand all of these different technical aspects of marketing and advertising in your business. People that say that it's so simple, those people need a slap, because it's not, and it can get really complicated. And what you guys just shared, and even just those answers, is a really good example of how you can't just stay at the surface level. And if you need people to help you with the service that you outsource, you have to get to know them enough. Back to that relationship comment of yours, Mike. You have to know them enough and their company enough and have a relationship with the individuals and the company to know whether or not they know these things, so that they can really help you with the things that you don't really need to waste your time and resources on trying to become an expert there. And so those are really, really good insights from you guys. I got another one for you. Is there, or have you seen some of these more, let's just call them benefits of a hybrid kind of model between what we're seeing and with all the AI stuff, and maybe that traditional SEO model? Are you seeing things that you're thinking, that's a good thing, that's a benefit?
And on that one, I would like to listen to Cody's answer.
My favorite part is speed to site. So with AI, Like, you still have to take whatever content that's going to be generated from ChatGPT and make sure that those keywords are used, like in the title tag, the H1, some variations within the H2. But you can test new ideas pretty rapidly now, where you can give it the keyword, topic, the layout, like all that in your prompt, and it's going to be able to produce a page for you that you can get on your website and test, like maybe a new blog post, and see if it's beneficial for you before you spend a lot of effort making a really well-designed page. So just very low friction where you can get out and create the stuff you need. I don't love it for doing your keyword research for you. I think it just, hallucinates in those cases. It's not going to know search volumes very well. But just the speed to page, I think, is very valuable. The other one's just, with paid ChatGPT, for example, you can take a screenshot of a page that you like and tell ChatGPT to make this layout in Bootstrap or whatever grid system you're working. And if you don't have a grid system, code it with CSS. And now you can make a whole new page layout with help. So you don't need to go to a designer all the time. You can go and create your own layouts, which we've made some really awesome layouts lately where we wouldn't have been able to do that a handful of years ago without talking to a developer. Now it's just easy peasy. We have a GPT created. You put in the information you want, and it will make the layout for you. Like that stuff is so huge.
That is. And I got to tell, just for the audience, in case you key in on, hey, we build a GPT to do this, because Mike and Cody, you guys have both mentioned that. I think a lot of people, not particularly willfully, but when they come into something where they're kind of ignorant, they just don't, because they don't know. They're not trying to not know, but they might try to fast track the it's like pretension of I know, because you don't want to look like an idiot in front of your friends or your peers or whatever. I think it's really critical to actually think through the what you really are capable of and what can really be done. The reality is there's a difference between people that kind of know what they're doing, and when you build GPTs or agents with AI to do certain things, that act itself, executing that so that it does the things where it is not taking over completely. It's a human that literally articulates what needs to be done, and if this, then that. It's this whole process, if you will. It's engineering in a way that takes time, that takes expertise, that takes deep level knowledge. That isn't just something we're just going to go ask the AI to write the GPT prompt for us, and then we build it. That is not what's being suggested here, just so the audience understands that. People that really know what they're doing there are the ones that actually make a massive difference with their clients, and you guys definitely get that. I think that's really smart. Again, the humans can't do all of it, but when they actually know what they're asking and needing AI to do and help them with, from business to client provision services, like it's quite a bit different. I got a couple things I want to ask you guys before we conclude this one. And you don't have to give me long answers, whatever you want to do. But in the context of all of these things we're talking about today, with AI limitations, where it's useful, how it's impacting SEO, what would you guys say off the top of the head is separating SEMD? Like what puts you guys apart from maybe what you see in the marketplace?
Well, providing SEO in the automotive industry is a very interesting piece. It's something that is different than other industries, where you have so many different moving parts with inventory and different types of services and that kind of thing. And so one of the things that has set us apart is being able to just utilize AI as a tool to make our manual SEO stronger. And one of the things that we've noticed is that by doing that, in a lot of our competitors have switched over to purely AI SEO, and all these people, all these companies that we've been battling with for so many years, all of a sudden just start falling in the wayside, and it's making us look way better. I'll tell you that. And so we still continue with the technical SEO. We make sure that all the reputation stuff is going well. We teach them how to respond to reviews and be able to keep things going and help assist them in 100% customer service. And that, partnered up with using AI and spending less time doing the tedious content creating and that type of thing, put those all together and you have a really good thing, and you're being able to get the right message in front of the right people at the right time, and get your potential clients to the right place with the least amount of effort possible.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I like that.
And that's what
Cody,
sets
what are your thoughts? What are
Sorry.
your... No
I'm gonna steal
problem.
Mike's. You can't teach give a shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a Mikeism. That's one of my
It is.
favorites.
I think that's the most important one. We take all of it more personal than we realistically should be as a business. Every single business that we work with, every single company that we partner with, all of it is really personal to us. So we want you to succeed, and every single person who's touching this account wants you to succeed, and we all take it personal if it's not. So I think that's one of the biggest differentiators is, even in business, you're not supposed to be that emotional or that attached to things. We certainly are, probably to a greater extent than we should be.
Love that too. Okay, your answers on this next one will be where we park this episode. If there was one thing that you wished every automotive dealer, power sports dealer, RV dealer, home services, whatever they do, pest control, roof, HVAC, whatever, all those people out there, if there's something, just one little thing that you would want them to know about SEO and this kind of evolution that we're living through with AI, what would that be?
When it comes to AI, still remember to be a human being and have 100% customer service. In my opinion, being able to still keep building those relationships is more important than ever. And then use the AI to be able to just clean up around the edges.
Love it.
I would say your website doesn't end with your homepage. You have hundreds of pages for your car dealership, and if you're in a home service industry, you probably have a dozen or more pages. So you can't just do the site speed test on your homepage. You have to go through all of your pages to make sure they're all functioning and being really fast. Make sure they all have a purpose. Make sure they're actually asking for business. And go through and make sure the whole website's actually doing what it's supposed to be doing, rather than just click your homepage and say, we're good.
Great stuff. Fantastic stuff today, guys. Audience, AI isn't going away. No way, no way, no way, even if some of you hope it will. But as Mike and Cody made it very clear to get today, that automation alone isn't enough. Building relationships is paramount, right? You need to make sure that's important. You also need to be making sure that you're working with people that know what they're talking about, and they're not actually leading you into some place that would find you into some sort of business despair. And it takes the right blend of really smart tools and smart humans who do the right things for the right reasons. This is the backbone of Search Engines MD. That's how they help their clients win. If you have questions or thoughts on what was covered today, drop a comment, especially if you're in the YouTube environment for any of this. Join this conversation if you want to hear more insights or even specific things that you'd like to ask Mike and Cody, or you want to know SCMD's perspective on. They have a lot of their own unique opinions that you just won't find with other people. So if you're ready to see how maybe their approach might change your results for your business, there's a couple things I would highly recommend you doing. Just head over to Search Engines MD, that's Mary David, or Mike Donovan. Search Engines Mike Donovan, searchenginesmd.com. And also, if you're not following Cody and Mike and really Search Engines MD on LinkedIn, you are doing yourself a disservice. And my recommendation would be start with going and looking up Search Engines MD. It's just linkedin.com/in/Search Engines MD. Easy to find. And then look for the people that work at their company and follow every single one of them, because they got a bunch of gunslingers over there that you need to be connected with. But that's it for today. We really appreciate your time and your energy. And until next time, well, that's it for the rounds. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.